Hello fashion lovers, my name is Ede Michael Moses, the CEO of Simcline Apparel Nigerian Limited. I am your host on this platform, bringing to you another exciting topic, construction lines. I'm sure you'll be wondering, what are construction lines? Construction lines are usually darts, pleats, they are girders, ruffles, and princess seams introduced in garments so as to fit a section of a garment and let another section loose, as defined by individual anatomical features. The major raw material used in garment construction is a very flat surface called fabric. This is defined by two areas. You have a length and then you have the width. Aside from these two parameters that defines a fabric, it is a completely flat surface. In other words, fabrics are two-dimensional, but the human body is three-dimensional in nature. When we say human body is three-dimensional, we're saying that some features of the human body is expressed outwards, other parts are depressed inward. And then we have the length, which refers to depth, and then you have the width, which also we refer to as circumferences. So with this, you see that it's almost impossible to change a two-dimensional object into a three-dimension. So it is therefore very necessary that garment construction professionals must choose methods, employ some modalities to ensure that this two-dimensional object suits a three-dimensional human body. With these, they can introduce darts, princess seams, pleats, girders and ruffles to help them construct a garment that will fit an individual anatomical profile. What are darts? Darts are triangular seams that are sewn by taking in bulk of fabric from one section and tapering to a section that requires looseness. This means that a section that requires fitting in a garment would need a garment construction professional to take in bulk in that section and then let loose the area that needs to be free. Types of darts. We would be talking about different types of darts, and each of these darts are only introduced in a garment to fit an individual anatomical profile. We have basically four types of darts: neckline darts, armhole darts, side bust darts, underbust darts. These darts are typified based on the anatomical plane or section of the garment in which they are introduced. For instance, some darts are being introduced on the neckline of a garment, some darts are introduced at the side of a garment, and some darts are introduced at the underbust of a garment. The other is introduced at the armhole. Beside these four basic darts, there are other types of darts depending on garment construction professional. Some darts are found at the knee section of a trouser. Some darts are created along the horizontal plane of a sleeve, for instance, the suit sleeve. Classification of darts. Darts are differentiated based on their structural adaptation. Triangular darts, inverted triangular darts, diamond darts, pencil darts, inverted pencil darts, hexagon darts. One of the parameters that helps a garment construction professional to decide when to use a particular dart is when these structural darts defines a client's anatomical profile. To obtain your client's anatomical profile, you would have to place the tip of your tape on the high point shoulder along the parasagittal plane and measure the point where the bust is fuller. The fuller section of the bust is what we call the bust point. And then you proceed to where the bust is now depressed. That means that section of the body where you can find the smallest circumference. And then you progress to where this smallest section continues, which is usually about 1 inch above the belly button. That's where you have the natural waistline. When you are taking a measurement of a client, you're going to be noting the variation of the depths. Does your client have an underbust depth as well as half length? If your client has an underbust as well as half length, that will define the class of that to introduce in your client's garment. And if your client at the same time has just underbust depth, that also is going to define the class of that you will be introducing in your client's garment. For instance, a pregnant woman doesn't have a half length. They only have an underbust depth. And that's why most of the garments that suit them are usually an umpire dress. In other words, we're saying a garment that has a waistline seam at the underbust level and then becomes wider to the hem. At the same time, the construction technique that you choose to employ as a garment construction professional also defines a class of that you introduce into your client's garment. If you're making a garment with a waistline seam and your client has just an underbust depth, you would have no choice but to make use of a triangular dart. But the question is, how do you know the quantity of fabric to tuck in when making a garment to fit a client around the tummy region? Some persons will say, when I want to form a dart for an adult, I'll use 1 inch or 1.5, it depends. No. There are principles that garment construction professionals must abide. When they compromise these principles, the fitting of that particular garment will also be compromised.
Top Notch Fashion Studio is a subsidiary of Simclimb Apparel Nigeria Limited. Founded in June 2015, Top Notch has trained over 52 students and is positioned to be a force shaping the fashion industry in Nigeria. Top Notch as a company offers basically 3 services, namely production of tailored garments for individual clients. Secondly, we offer a well-structured training program for fashion designers, pattern makers, and tailors. Thirdly, we offer mass production of uniquely designed garments for retail outlets and boutiques.